Okay, guys, want to welcome you to another edition of the R&B podcast. One of the fastest growing R&B podcasts around. It's Can We Talk R&B podcast with me, Namdi.
Yes. And me, Omar. Welcome,
Yes,
welcome. Come on
welcome.
in, guys. Get your good drinks. We got some things to talk about today. Get your drink, get your comfortable pillow. All right. So, you had an interesting question you posed to me. You wanted to know um, my five favorite debuts by
A group.
groups.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I wanted to look at the debut albums by a group, either male or female, because sometimes the second album's not as great, or maybe they don't even make the third, but it's just their debut album. So yeah, I've got my five. They don't know particular order this time around because I know. Yeah, so you can go any way you want. So.
No, we can do it in order. It's
Okay.
weird because for me, I don't, and this is something I really kind of would say across the board. I don't think in terms of a top five in any facet of my life. Like I just don't think of top five or top 10 lists. I just know what I like.
Okay.
So like like when people ask an artist like what's your favorite song that you recorded or what's your three favorite songs, I don't think a lot of us creative people think in that term. Like we don't think like that. Like, but anyway, so my first number, I'm gonna start number five.
Yeah.
Number five for me, this is a difficult thing because when you talk about debut albums, a lot of groups they have albums that are experimental almost, where they haven't even really fully established their sound. So
What do you,
let's throw that out there first.
experimental? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, a lot of times they're still kind of getting their footing on what their sound is.
Okay.
And so let me just mention this group since I'm already thinking about them. 112. So 112, that's one I'm gonna put at number five for now, just because I want to have this conversation.
Oh
So
man, I forgot about them.
112, their first album is one of my favorite debuts by a group. But when we get to the second, third, and fourth albums, their sound is evolving and changing. So the first album is very ballad heavy. They're leaning into the boys to men kind of aesthetic
Mm.
and sound and way of doing things. Because when you listen to the actual album, not let's forget the singles for a second. You listen to Now That We're Done and all of those songs like that, Pleasure and Pain, interludes and all that. They have a very lush, soft, sultry sound, or was sultry the word? I don't know. Sultry, seductive kind of harmonies, real soft and low and warm. And very reminiscent of what we got from Boys to Men. They were like a young version of
Mm.
Boys to Men. And as they went on, they started being known for their up tempos.
Mm.
You know, Peaches and Cream and Dance with Me and all of that stuff like that. And that sound changed. But anyway, let me get to the point. So anyway, number five is my favorite. Is my 112's debut is my one of my favorites from a group.
From a group. Okay.
Yes,
We got there eventually. Uh,
we did.
Ooh, on a TLC tip by TLC.
Mm, okay.
Because up to that time, um, we were used to getting females being very safe in their lane, and they came out with something very different and unique with Left Eye as a rapper, the whole, um, had condoms, say, the way they dressed, it was very different. They came out with a different style, energy,
Right.
and they took the energy from Dallas Austin's type of music and really made a statement. And
Yeah.
rightly
It,
so, the
it, it
biggest
was
selling
largely
group.
in parts of Pebbles, creating an image for them and a sound. And she had a lot to do with the creativity of that group. And I'm not going to erase her involvement because I know she was heavily involved with that and she wanted people to know that. And I know that as a creator, when you have involvement, when you've made something, you want the
Mm,
credit. But TLC's first album was definitely a good debut. It
okay.
was definitely something we hadn't seen before, and the girls just had a lot of charisma. Like they just really were, they had the right. That's an example of pairing, a group with the right producers,
Yeah.
knowing what you want to do and having, you know,
Yeah.
plan.
And image. Yeah. What about your number
Yes.
four?
Number four, I'm gonna go with SWV.
Okay.
Their first album, right? It's About Time. I love that album, and it's got like now every album on my list is not going to be like this big mega selling album, but this is one of the big mega selling albums. The hits can't be denied. Right here, I'm so into you. Weak, downtown. You're always on my mind. I mean, the hits go on and on and on. The album is really good. Even the album cuts. So that was one of my favorites as from a group.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Brian Alexander Morgan, friend of the show. Yep, they did about
Yes.
80% of the album. Um,
Mhm.
my next one is En Vogue, Born to Sing. Um,
Okay.
I mean, oh goodness, how I wish the four of them stayed together. But as a debut album, it's think even when they started off with the sort of the Jackson 5 sort of cover tribute in the beginning, um, and just going with the vocals and the hip hop beats. The um, it was just like I was in Nigeria. I remember watching that, being mesmerized by wow, these women can sing. They look elegant, and the music. I mean, just it was just a we hadn't seen that because prior to that we had New Jack like um, ex-girlfriend and the Good Girls
Yeah.
and those type of all dressed hip hoppy and
Yeah.
and
I
and
like those
following that.
groups too, though.
Yeah, no one's saying anything about them,
Hmm.
but they were all in the same lane. But then Vogue came out with styling and singing, and it was
Right.
different. It
Right.
was fresh, and the music was good as well. Okay, number three.
All right. Number three for me. This is really crazy because my honorable mentions are going to be crazy off the hook. Okay, we're going to stick with the ones I want to say. I'm going to go with Intro. Intro's first album is literally an album I still listen to all these years later. I'll still listen to I'll just pop it in when I'm in the mood, and I don't even have to skip any songs. I just let it play. Obviously they're known for the Ribbon in the Sky, but I used to love Love Thing. Let me be the one. I love those songs so much. It takes me back to the 90s when I listen to that album. And there's some beautiful Don't Leave Me. That song should have been a single. I love that song. That album is very near and dear to my heart. And anybody that loves that album is a friend of mine because I don't you ever have like a person you find out you guys like the same album or whatever. It's like, oh, we gotta be friends.
Yeah,
So yeah, I love that album. That's one of my favorite albums from the 90s. And I remember it's just I don't know if it's about when it came out and where I was in my life, but it was just like I love the way this guy sings. I just love the sound.
yeah.
But
Well, you took it off my list, so I have to use my go to my. I have to add it to one of my get my backups to go next.
I'm
But
sure you got a lot.
yeah, um, I'm even worried now if I because of my. Okay, so
I've learned to have backups because you always steal mine because you had those really good ones, and
okay.
I'd be like,
Well,
"Oh my God,
I'm
he
gonna
got
take.
my."
I'm gonna go with my
But
next
I'm
one
gonna say
before.
some obscure ones in a minute.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Guy, the debut album, Guy.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. I
because
knew
it.
we saw that coming.
Yeah, well, I had to. I still, if I wait too long,
Ah!
you might take it. So let me quickly take it.
No, no, no. Yeah,
Guy.
no.
Yeah, from. You know what? When I listened to the Guy album, and even if I hadn't spoken to Timmy Gatlin, but listening to that album, and I can see Jodeci um, l- emulating that Guy album, not the future, because a
Yeah.
lot of Devante's sort of keyboard and the sounds and even the storytelling was very much what Dalvin said was very much influenced by the first Guy album. And I think we spoke about this on a previous show about how Timmy influence on Guy sort of had a big effect because you could see the difference between that Guy album and Jodeci sounds continuing, where the future just sort of went in a different direction, and this
Hmm.
and no big standout hits from the future apart from Let's Chill. So the Guy debut album, sold twice as much as the other Guy album, and still classic to this day.
Oh, okay. For me, I'm going to say public announcement. Public announcement
R.
is R.
Kelly, I'm
Kelly's.
telling you, that's R.
Yeah.
Kelly's album. Is that
No, 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 no,
Vibe?
not hit. No, 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 no. They had their own.
Oh, Yippee
So
Yippee.
yes, that album. Don't be fooled by that silly single. That album was absolutely
Are you
dope.
kidding
I
me?
loved it. Yes.
Wow.
Yep, that was a dope song too. And the remixes were dope too. That Yippee body body what is it? Body jumping or body bumping? Yeah, that was a good album. Yeah, they had a lot of songs on there. Turn the Hands, Alone, or a lot of songs. They had did some remakes on there too. But the guys can really, really sing.
Mm,
And hopefully there's somebody in the audience that's actually heard the public announcement debut album and their second album, Don't Hold Back. Those were really good albums, and unfortunately they were overlooked. But
wow.
I'm gonna start shouting out people because I could go with the the popular people, but I have to say some people that need some shine. So that was a
Okay.
good album.
Okay. My next one is Poison, Belle Biv DeVoe.
Okay, that was a good one.
Because I realized because they were the pressure they were on, they being the three backup guys of New Edition, pretty much, and
Pretty
coming out the block with the first type of hip hop R&B crossover type of album where they're singing, they're rapping. They've seen what Bobby was doing, and you know they had um, lots of hits on that album. From Poison, Do Me, something. Sorry, When Will I See Smile Again? I mean, I do love you. I mean, you look at it, it's like wow, it was just 4 million plus. I mean, no wonder they were so big in their right. And you know what? Yeah, it was a great debut album. It's a pity they
yes.
couldn't follow up
It
with
was-
with Hootie Mac, but I don't understand. In another episode, we need to talk about the guys from New Edition's follow-up albums because
right.
God knows whatever happened. They just forgot what they needed to do. But anyway, what about yourself? What's your
Um, are we at number one?
Yo and Heart number one?
Okay, so yeah, for me, it's going to be Brownstone from the bottom up. I used to
Okay.
love that debut. I thought they had a lot of good songs on there that weren't even released.
Mm,
So they had, of course, if you love me, that was the big
yeah.
breakout. Um, but I
Thank.
like their first single, Past the Lovin'. I used to love that song. I
Mm,
love Grapevine. They
Mayfire
did a
was powerful.
remake of I Can't Tell You Why.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that song. And to me, that's the best remake of that song I've ever heard. Um, yeah, so I like their voices. They're great. They're dope. Nikki was just a beast vocally. I loved her
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
But I loved the other two too. Maxie, rest in peace. I love her voice too. So
Mm,
that was another one from my childhood that I really enjoyed.
okay. Well, I'm glad you didn't go for this one. Motown Philly. No, Cooley High How Harmony. Voice to Man.
Yeah, I didn't say it, but you could. I'm a Voice of Man fan. You know that I was going to say
Yeah,
that, but I'm like, no, I'm going to stay away and try to give some
yeah.
shine to other
You
people.
know what?
But yeah,
Because like in Vogue, I would very much put them in the same brackets as in that
hmm
type of very unique sound. Because yes, many of us weren't aware of Take Six until they came up with their first instrumental album. But that type of harmony and over the beats was new to me and to a lot of
hmm
us. But people would always say, "Oh yeah, Take Six, that's what they were doing." It's, yeah, but when you're underground, when you're not well known to people globally, it's hard for us to see that. So, um, big shout to Michael Bibbins for his vision and how, just as you gave shout out to Pebbles for TLC, this was a Michael Bibbins type of, well, I want you to be different from Jodeci and from what we were doing, and almost be, I think what he did is he took New Edition from Can You Stand the Rain, seeing the success of how they were on that, and says, I want you guys to be in that because it seemed to fit their vibe, that type of, not being being sort of different and stuff. So yeah, that was a beautiful debut album. I mean, big selling day, probably one of the biggest R&B debut selling albums by any group.
Mm-hmm.
As a Boyz II Men aficionado would say.
I'm no comment. But I'm gonna do my honorable mentions now.
Okay.
So one of my favorite groups.
Here we go again. Okay.
Yes, Portrait, their debut. Get into it, learn it, love it. No, this is definitely a great debut. Shy.
Oh yeah,
If I Ever Fall in Love.
Yeah, that was in my. Oh,
That
goodness.
was one of my favorites.
Wow.
Yeah, I still have CDs.
Oh man,
And I don't have the others, but I was going to mention Pretty Ricky. I didn't mention because I think that's out of our demographics.
I don't know. Are they hip hop? Are they rap? Or are they R&B?
They're hip hop, but R&B. Like all of their songs pretty much had a R&B hook. Okay. And they had an R&B singer, and that's what we remember. And they formed themselves almost like an R&B group, but they were rappers. So it was kind of like a TLC reversed almost. Like, so they were good. That first album was really good. 702 and Drew Hill. Everybody who knows me knows these are some of my favorite groups. But again, I wanted to mention Public Announcement because nobody ever mentions Public Announcement, and that was a really good album. Brownstone is a great group that never gets a lot of shine. Yeah. So I wanted to say some other people.
Yeah, but, I mean, if I was throwing a few out there, I mean, you can't forget Cut Close. They had a really, really good album. It's a pity the business kind of messed them up.
Yeah, I wanted a second album from them so bad. Like,
they said Pharrell and Missy they'd done tracks with them, but
I would have loved to know what that sounded like.
Yeah.
Men
of Vision. I actually did like that. They started off with Housekeeper, which was a smart move to do something slow, and that really was different. It was a very strange stuff. But Teddy did with Spanky, but it was all done in features and stuff, and they were sort of on his production deal with Michael, and so
I heard that one. I found that album a little mediocre. It sounded like a lot of Blackstreet leftovers. Like I actually have that CD too over there, but
you still have it.
It's kind of. I have both of them. The first and second album.
Okay.
I mean, it was okay. The guys could really, really sing. Like they were great singers, and I just thought the music did not live up to their voices. Like Blackstreet had signature songs with strong hooks that you will remember, and with I mean, I like Men of Vision. I just think they needed stronger material. So
yeah, and my bias has to always be the Teddy bias that I do anything he came out with.
Yeah,
and finally,
it was okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think I was too much a Teddy fan that didn't I even. Even Not a Butter.
Yeah, I mean, Not a Butter, right? I remember him, rapper. Yeah, I mean, when I say mediocre, people say, "Oh, mediocre." Mediocre means okay. It doesn't mean terrible. It doesn't mean bad. It just means not above average. Not not unique. It's just It's not a bad word. It's just some songs are like that. We got to listen to you for that.
And my final one is Jodeci's "Forever My Lady," a beautiful debut album. So
that was another one too.
But guys, put in your comments your top 5. What's your top 5s, because it might be different, might be the same. It'd be good just to hear, because as I said, we read the comments, we respond and all that. But it's it's great fun.
Yes, exactly. We'll catch you next time on the next episode of Can We Talk R&B Podcast.
Thanks again for watching, guys.
And before we go, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Yeah, and also remember to turn on the notification so you can know when we have another show. But thanks again.
That too.